Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the next in the series about my quest to become a private pilot and learning to fly for real. And this sixth lesson is around a recap first of the fifth lesson, and then we're going to do controlled descents. So the first thing on this one was I had been away for about 6 weeks from flying because we were away on holiday, and when I came back I realized I'd forgotten a lot of the processes and procedures. So we did the early part of the lesson was a refresher on climbing. So if you remember, we did the process of climbing was working right to left across the dashboard, so mixture, throttle, and then the carburetor off. Then in terms of entering the climb, there is a process that you need to follow, which is power, attitude, trim, and make sure that you follow that process. I'd forgotten those procedures, and this was a big lesson to me. One, to not let too long go between the lessons because it's easy to forget, and two, to really work on those procedures, the workflows, because that is the way to remember and to remain safe when you're flying. The other thing that I realized in this, when we were away, we climbed up a very, very high tower, an observation tower, and I realized that I'm actually here's a picture, a little bit afraid of heights, which is a bit weird because I've never had any anxiety in the aircraft, and I didn't have any anxiety in this last lesson, which was after the holiday. So inexplicable, but there you go. Afraid of heights on the ground, but not so much in the air. So I hope you enjoy this video. So as we've done climbing, effectively a takeoff is just a sustained climb. I was allowed to do the takeoff for the first time. So once on the runway, I was reminded you shouldn't then hesitate. Advance the throttle slowly, 1, 2, 3 to full power, and then keep your hand on the throttle in case there's a need to cut the throttle quickly, say if there's an engine problem before you reach safe takeoff speed. Then I followed the instructor through, so left to right sequence, carburetor on, throttle reduced, then allow the aircraft to gently reduce back to 70 knots before allowing it to settle into the descent and trimming. So just maintain 70 knots in the descent and maintain the attitude for the descent, which is around 10-11 fingers below the horizon. Around 200 feet from the bottom of the descent, then we need to start the sequence to exit that. So again, left to right, carb off, 100 feet from the bottom of the descent, we can increase the throttle, back pressure to level out. And I climbed back up, power, attitude, trim, and then as you reach the top of the climb, don't forget attitude first. Hold the plane, allow the speed to increase, then power and trim. This was a tricky lesson because then it was my turn to do the descent. So once again, carburetor, then the power, allow the speed to gently bleed off to 70 knots, and then aircraft to dip into the descent and then trim. Maintaining the lookout attitude instruments throughout for safety. So it's tricky, you've also got to remember which direction you're going. Keep the lookout, attitude, instruments, vigilance, and then the bottom of the descent, carburetor first, then about 100 feet before the bottom of the descent, engage the power, and bring the aircraft into level flight, and then trim. Finally returning back to Harden, first stage of flaps, second stage of flaps, making sure we're in the right speed arc and that we check that the flaps are engaged, and then we asked permission for a glide approach which enabled us to practice that 70 knot descent. So I'm flying here, a left-hand descending turn into Harden. Just want to increase the speed a little bit. And we're lined up with the runway, allowing the attitude to control the speed rather than the throttle. I have to say this landing was a little bit harder than I wanted it to be. I flared a little bit too early, but the instructor was very generous and pointed out this was not actually part of this lesson, and that'll come later. Okay, that's all I've got for you in this video. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you want to be notified when further videos are uploaded, and leave any comments. I love to hear from you, and I'll catch you next time.